Hello everybody, Hellcracks here, and welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode, 314. And today we're going to be talking about the 100-ton mech, the Pillager, which we've been using a bit of over the course of our last campaign. We've had one in it. I've used them before. It's an interesting mech. 100 tons. It's a 353, so it does have some mobility. You have a lot of tonnage wrapped up in jump jets. But when you're 3.5, having that little bit of extra nudge actually does help. You can get some places that you can't normally do real quickly with this standard foot movement. But it comes at the expense of having a 300XL engine. Yes, it has a 300XL, which means it does have some major vulnerability in games, which is usually the downfall of it pretty quickly, is just lose the torso and it's toast. Now, it does have 14 double heat sinks, which is, well, oversync. This thing has too many heat sinks, to be honest. And you could easily probably get rid of a heat sink or two and be fine and put those into other equipment or something. It does have 19.5 tons of standard armor, which is 307, so it is maxed out. And once again, there's about a half. You could probably dump a half a ton of armor off this thing, and maybe one heat sink and give yourself like ECM. You know, there's that option. You could go that route. All right, now weapons profile here. In the right torso and left torso, we have Gauss rifles, one each. All right, that's fine, no problem. Left arm, we have two medium lasers. We have a medium laser in the head and a medium laser in the center torso. And in the right arm, we have a large standard laser. All right. Right torso and left torso, we have 2 tons of Gauss rifle each. All right. Left leg, right leg, we have a ton of Gauss rifle ammunition each. So each launcher basically has 24. And our last game that we played with, we had the Pillager in it. He still had ammunition left. Yeah, we went 22 turns. So he still had 2 turns left. Actually, probably, I think 3 or 4 turns because he didn't fire for a few turns. But all in all, yeah, that keeps you in the game for a long period of time. Then we have in the center torso a jump jet, and right and left leg has a jump jet each. There's your weapons loadout. And like I said, the glaring problems with this, yes, it has a lot of armor. It's maxed out. But it always comes down to losing a torso. And if they focus something on it, you can tear down a 100-ton mech in a single turn with a bunch of other mechs, or get really lucky and everything goes into the single torso, and basically it's a done dinner. So yeah, that's the biggest problem with the Pillager, is those extra light engines, XLFS, FEs. So you basically turn this mech, our experience with it, yes, it can get in close. It can do some good infighting with those medium lasers. And if you stay just outside the minimum range of the Gauss rifles, yeah, they can punch holes too. And that's the nice thing about Gauss rifles. You got 15 points of damage with those things. So, yeah, I would suggest more or less turning it into a fire support mech. And that's how we always used it. If they really want to push the issue, yeah, it's one of those mechs, it can't escape very quickly. It can use its jump jets to backpedal, maybe put some terrain in between it and whoever may be coming their direction. But yeah, it's like if there's any type of obstacle that takes a lot of movement to get through, it takes it a long time to get there. Oh, like in our last game, we had a river that was fairly wide in some places. Now, this is one of those mechs that could not get through it, so I had to basically jump over everything. Now, One of the things, like I said, it's oversynced by a bit. It has capability of dissipating 28 heat. And the most you're going to do with this thing, I think it's 25. So you got Gauss rifles, medium lasers, that's 14, 22, jump 25. Yeah, you're oversynced by 3. So you could get hit by an Infernal and still not even notice it. So that's one thing about this mech. So you have to think about that. So like I said, I wouldn't have a problem knocking off a single heatsink, which will drop you down to 26 dissipation, which won't even affect you when it comes to the heat. And then maybe half a ton of armor. Yeah, you don't hear me say that very often, but yeah, I would knock off a heatsink and a half-ton armor and give this thing ECM to help it against like Artemis and all that. So shutting down the what do you call it, C3 systems also. So there's one upgrade I would consider with this mech. It's a fairly minor one too. Or you could just knock off a heatsink and give yourself another medium laser or tag. You know, tag might be useful too, especially with one of the other versions of this mech, which has artillery. So, you know, there's that option that you could go with, is loading up some tag and helping out. So there are options with the Pillager to make it a little bit better, because you know there's no reason to be running around with that many heat sinks that won't get used or very seldom used. And to be honest, most of the games that we played with this thing, I think the most heat it was putting out was 12. So it could even gotten by with just 10 standard or 10 double heat sinks, and then throwing all that extra tonnage into something else. So, or 4 more tons. So, yeah, it's one of those mechs that you look at and go, I think we could put some changes to it, to be honest. Now, we have a couple other versions of this mech. There's not very many. Let me see here. Here it is. We got the original Pillager, the one end, which first came out when it first designed. It was slower, and it had 17 tons of armor, and it had a pair of AC-20s instead of the Gauss rifles, and SRMs-4, and 3 medium lasers, and 16 standard heat sinks. So it comes in at 1,800 battle value. Now the standard version, the 3Z, comes in at 2,700 battle value. So yeah, there is a big change when you start looking at the differences between the two of them. The standard version, original 1N, yeah, you could get by. You could actually bring something else with it. Which, you know, the 1N wouldn't be a bad city fighter. It does have jump jets, but it's only got 2 jump jets, you know, because of what it is. Then we got the 4X Anvil Pillager. This one is goes back to when I start talking about having tag. This one has a light fusion engine on board. It also carries around 2 long tom cannons. Yeah, it's like you got artillery, you got 2 mobile artillery pieces. This comes in a little over 1,900 battle value, and to be honest, I'd rather have a couple vehicles that carry around artillery on board instead of having a mech carry the artillery. Yeah, and it has a laser anti-missile system and some coolant pods. But like I said, I'd rather have my artillery on a vehicle. It's much cheaper and easier to maintain, etc., instead of having to throw everything on a mech. You know, if I'm going to have a mech artillery, it's going to be Arrow probably, which we'll have some. Okay, then we got the 4Z. This one came out in the 3060s, produced by the Capellan Forces, has stealth armor. Okay, so you got a little bit extra heat from the stealth armor, but you know, you're taking away the long range. capability of being shot. So there's that. It has Guardian ECM, so it goes to what I said, putting Guardian ECM something, yeah. And it has 2 medium lasers, and the large laser have been removed, so you can do a lot of this stuff. The remaining medium lasers have been upgraded to ER medium lasers, and so you got standard engine with case. So that comes in at about 29, actually about 2,900 battle value, which is close to more than what you're looking at. But you know, that's a lot of it is the stealth armor and all the other doohickeys that you're going to be throwing on it to make it a little bit better. But it does have case. Finally, you got a mech that has case. That was one of the other problems you could put on, is it factory refit, is if you could put case on board this thing, because when a Gauss rifle goes off, you're going to get hurt. Then we have the 5L. Okay. It removes one of the Gauss rifles to make room for an Arrow 4 artillery piece and 3 tons of ammunition. Okay, so now you got a Gauss rifle, an Arrow 4 system, and you have 4 tons of ammunition for the Gauss rifle. You got 3 medium lasers, which are ER medium lasers, and you have a ER PPC, but only 10 double heat sinks. So a lot of heat problems. You would have been better off probably staying with the go with an ER large laser instead, and then take those 2 tons and give it more heat sinks. But I don't know if it's capable, because possible. This comes in at a little, almost 2,700 battle value. I'm thinking it's running short on critical spaces, why you can only put so many double heat sinks, which is, you know, on the engine. And then it does have Guardian ECM. So there's that problem. I'm thinking what it is, because with Arrow 4 and a Gauss rifle together, you are sucking up a large chunk of your space on board for crits. So there's that problem. Then you got the 5Z. This one is the 4Z, but it removes the jump jets and a ton of Gauss rifle ammunition, which isn't overly a big deal. But you know, now you have a ER PPC to go with everything, and then you have triple strength Myrmer. So yes, you've got a mech that's going to be running hot due to the fact that, you know, you're running stealth, and if you're firing the weapons, you're going to be cooking pretty hard. This comes in at 3,000 battle value, but if you do heat it up, which you're going to, the way with all your weapon systems on board, you will not want anybody come near you, because if you're heated up and you decide to punch or kick, yeah, they do not want to be anywhere near you, because you'll be kicking off legs, literally. Yeah, doubling up your yeah, you just don't want to be near this thing. It's like, oh, he's got his triple strength going. All right, back pedal, stay away, just stay away. They'd be wanting to keep the distance from this guy. So, but yeah, if they do make the mistake and let this thing get near them, yeah, it's like body parts will be flying off. It was like a kick goes into the leg and up through the torso, just drop kick him hard. Most likely the leg is gone and part of the torso, or even the torso. So there's that. There's some potential with the 5Z. You know, they built it with stealth and everything. The Capellans then turn around and say, hey, we got a problem with heat. We might as well put triple strength on it and take advantage of the heat. You know, it's going to be running warm. All right, so that's the Pillager. Pretty much, I'd take the 3Z if I had one. And like I said, just do a couple tweaks to it. You know, take off a ton of heat sink and then half a ton of armor, and either put on, yeah, you got options there. You can put on, you could be, if you can get into the factory and put case on board. Personally, I like the ECM idea myself. Go that route, or you could even put anti-missile system too. There's that possibility. Or tag, you know. But take advantage of those extra things that you don't really need on board and then apply it to something else. So there's that. All right, so that is the Pillager. Pretty much a simple kind of mech. It's pretty straightforward. It's a heavy fire support assault mech. But it does come into its fore later in the game. So my experience is once a lot of mechs are shot up and this thing's been sitting back firing away with its Gauss rifles and the large laser, I personally would upgrade the large laser to an ER large, gain a few. This couple 4 hexes makes a big difference in the game. So sometimes it's between being able to shoot it or not. And to get as close as you can to the same range as your Gauss rifle, yeah, go that route myself. So later in the game, when it's one of those mechs that you've been hanging back with, and then it starts moving forward into the mid game and late game, when a lot of mechs are been shot up by you, or a lot of armor, then you can start throwing those medium lasers in, and then you start pumping out some good damage, because 4 medium lasers hitting, and then with the 2 Gauss rifle rounds, yeah, you're looking at 50 to 58 damage when you throw in the large laser. That's pretty decent. You're tearing off. If you hit with all that, you just tore off a little over 1/6 the armor of an Atlas, and that's going to be on the front side, not the back. So you discount what's on the back, and you're getting down into the 1/5 range. And if you got some lance mates and you've already been firing at that Atlas, you may drop it or open it up wide open for some of your lance mates to go crit hunting. So that's it. That's the Pillager. All right. Hope you guys like it. Like and subscribe, share with friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Hellcracks out.